All right, we are officially live on Facebook for the first time tonight, guys, and as well on Zoom. So before we get started here tonight, I just want to let you know, if you're watching this on Facebook Live right now, please share this live stream far and wide, and share it to groups or other people that you think might be interested. We have a special guest on tonight, John Correia from Active Self-Protection. He is gracing us with his presence tonight and his knowledge and expertise, and we're so glad to have him on. But before we get into that, I have a few announcements and some really exciting things that are coming up that I want to let you know about. But first, if I could, everyone that's on here tonight, could you please drop in the chat where you're from? I would love to hear where all your beautiful faces are from and how far we're reaching here. That would be wonderful if I could hear from you guys. So we've got some people from Arkansas. I know we've got some Colorado people, and of course, some of my wonderful friends from Montana are here tonight. I do appreciate that. Arizona as well, and I know some Texas guys are here. When Adam shows up later in the live, I believe he is in Texas right now as well. We've got Michigan, wow, Fort Worth, so that's wonderful. We've got more people on Facebook shouting out from Texas and Colorado. So that's great. All right, great. I'm so glad that you guys are here tonight, and welcome to the September 7th, 2022 version of Defenders Live. All right, so tonight, first of all, let me just introduce myself, because I don't think everybody in the whole world knows who I am. In fact, very few people do. So my name is Lora Thorson, and I am an instructor at Defenders USA, and I'm located in Southwest Montana. And if you want to know more about me, you can go back to the July 27th live. That was the very first live I did, which actually wasn't that long ago, but this has grown by leaps and bounds very, very quickly. And I'm so glad that you're sharing this journey along with me. And I hope that I can offer you a lot of good information. If you want to know about my bio and my credentials, you can go to defenders-usa.com and look at the About page, and you'll be able to see a bio on me, as well as all of the other Defenders instructors. So, and the company's founder, Adam Winch, he'll be on here a little bit later. He is working hard to get on this live tonight, guys. If you knew what was going on behind the scenes, it's crazy. So also, I want to welcome some other Defenders instructors that are on here tonight. Brent Hickman from Colorado is on. Dylan Wells from Texas. Miles Standish from Colorado is also on tonight. You know, I want to shout out to Casey as well. Casey Wells, who is behind the scenes working really, really hard for Defenders USA. She's on here as well. And she does so much for us behind the scenes. And a lot of times those behind the scenes people don't get enough credit, I think, sometimes. So anyway, I want to welcome all of these instructors onto the call, as well as all of you. And let's reiterate why we're here. We're here every week because we want to grow you as a defender. And what that means, guys, is that, you know, we all enjoy shooting and we all want to grow as shooters. But being a defender is about a lot more than shooting. It's about a heart set. It's about a mindset. It's about being prepared with the skills that you have to be able to defend yourself in any situation. And there's so much to it. I think that personal growth and shooting growth go hand in hand. I believe they're a parallel track. So the more that I can help you and introduce you to people that can help you along that journey, the better we'll all be for it. So speaking of wonderful people, announcements. The guest list next week, we're going to have Robin Sandoval from A Girl and a Gun shooting league. And then the week after that, on September 21st, Juan Rivas from Arizona will be on with us. He has an exceptional survival story that you guys won't want to miss. And he's excited to come on. I'm excited to have him on. So Juan will be on September 21st. On September 28th, Adam Winch will be joining us. He's a certified CrossFit instructor, for those of you that don't know. And he's going to be talking to us about strengthening our shooting platform. And even more importantly, doing that from home and with no equipment, or at least with what we have at our disposal, you know, hanging around the house. So that's going to be a good episode. We also have Carrie Dudenhofer coming up. on October 5th. She's from Washington and her business is called Carry Concealed. She's going to be talking to us about her business as well as the Active Self-Protection Instructor Certification Program. She is a huge part in that. So we're happy to have her and some new announcements, guys. Oh man, my mind just is blown every time. Like reading these people that I'm going to have, these people are going to be on. It's just insane. Then October 19th, I just scheduled John and Sarah Hopman. I hope I said that correctly. Filster Holsters. They are the owners of Filster Holsters. They make the Enigma holster. I just did a YouTube video on the Enigma last week, I believe. It's on the Defenders USA YouTube channel. So if you want to see my review, it's not really a review. It's just how I have mine set up and why I really like it and the purpose that it serves for me in my everyday carry. So that is on Defenders USA YouTube channel, and they are going to both be on, I believe, on October 19th. And then finally, last but not least, I told you the list keeps growing, guys. It just blows my mind every week. I don't know if any of you have heard of or know Adam Boyce, but he is from Idaho and he owns Spartan Mode. He will be on October 27th. And he's going to provide some really valuable information for us. He is one of only a handful of Martial Blade Concepts instructors in the world. He's a very well-rounded defender, I should say, and he can give us a lot of insight into edge weapons and other defensive tactics. I think, again, being a defender is about a lot more than shooting, and so being able to defend ourselves in other ways is very important as well. And we'll be talking with John about that during our conversation here tonight. So last, before we get into it, if you have any topics you'd like to hear about, or if you have any people that you would like to see on the show, drop in the comments, drop in the chat, reply to the emails that I send you. I would love to hear from you. And then one last big announcement, John, then I promise I'll get to you, my friend. So excited. I have my first sponsor. Have my first sponsor on Defenders Live, guys. This is crazy. Haven Defense Company has decided to come on board alongside Defenders Live. And what they're going to do is offer a 10% discount to anybody, any of our viewers that decide to go and order a holster online at havendefenseco.com. And the way you get that 10% off, you'll just type in that promo code, Defenders. Defenders is the promo code, and you'll get 10% off any Haven Defense Company holster. Also, I just learned that if you're thinking about getting the Enigma chassis system with one of the Haven Defense Company holsters, they now will offer that as a package thing. You can order that on the website and you'll have the entire system, you know, not necessarily set up because it's the standard version only, not the express, but you'll have everything you need in one fail swoop package when you get it in the mail. And that's really exciting that you won't have to do that separately anymore. So anyway, that's what Haven Defense Company is offering. So you can go to havendefenseco.com and get 10% off any Haven Defense Company holster with the promo code Defenders. So that's exciting. All right. I just want to give a shout out really quick. I'm not going to go through all the classes. I know you guys probably saw my live earlier today. There's a sniper school going on at Cameo with a girl and a gun gals right there. And I think there's like a dozen gals right now. They're having the time of their life at this 6-day sniper school that Defenders Lab or Defenders USA is teaching. So if you want to see what's coming up, all over the nation in Montana, Arizona, Texas, Colorado. I can't even name all the places because I can't think of them all off the top of my head. Go to defenders-usa.com, look up upcoming courses. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox because we have a lot of work to do tonight. We have a lot of learning to do, and we have someone here extra special to help us with that. I am going to unmute you. Oh, Adam's on the call now. Adam made it. Yay. Okay, and Adam might be asking some questions too. So Adam, the reason you can't unmute yourself is because I have full control of you right now. Okay, John, I'd ask you to unmute. Hopefully that worked. I don't know if it did.
That worked.
Okay, and let me add you here. And then Adam, if you need or want to come on and I'm not responding to a message in the chat, just go ahead and raise your hand and then I'll unmute you and give you the floor if that works for you. All right. So I don't really know again. Oh, there he is. Look at his smiling face. So glad you could make it, Adam. John Correia with Active Self-Protection. I don't know that I can introduce John any better than he can. I have watched him on YouTube and with other interviews, and John, man, he's not ever at a loss for words. He always knows what to say and when to say it.
Did you just call me a big mouth, Laura? Is that
no. Well, you did say you are an extrovert, so I think that that's part of the talent of an extrovert is being able to do that.
I talk for a living, so
exactly. Yes, and I'm learning through these lives that is not always a natural gift. That sometimes has to be learned.
It is a skill, not a gift, and you can learn it.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. So, okay, John, if you could just give us your background, tell us what is active self-protection. Maybe there's people that have never heard of it. They don't know what it is. Give us your background and your mission for those that don't know you.
So Active Self-Protection is a self-defense and firearms training company based out of Phoenix, Arizona. That's the core of the company. Our mission statement, we exist to teach people in all walks of life to better defend themselves and their family from criminal violence. So that is our focus. Good people from all walks of life, protecting their family from criminal violence. If you've seen this face ever, and you're not my mama, you've probably seen me on the YouTubes. We have 2 YouTube channels that are our primary teaching vehicles. The big one, it is creatively called Active Self-Protection, I've got about 2.65 million subscribers, get somewhere 20 to 50 million views a month, depending on the month. And people send us real life videos of real defensive encounters, armed robberies, carjackings, muggings, home invasions, stabbings. And we do after action reports on them. We walk through what happened, then we walk through it again. And if the good person came out of it doing well, we talk about why. We say, here's the kind of keys that they did well. If they don't, and sometimes they don't, we talk about why. We also do badge cams there. So 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we analyze police department and police officer uses of force for 2 goals in that. Number one, to train our law enforcement officers. They're used all over the country for roll call training, recruit training at academies, post-certification training, those kinds of things. And also to educate the public on the mission and the duties of law enforcement and how difficult that life really is. So we have a second channel, Active Self-Protection Extra. You've seen Adam on it from time to time. And we teach 9 video lessons a week there, handgun skills, carbine skills, shotgun skills, empty-handed skills, legal and moral self-defense, gear reviews. That's certainly, I'm not the only person on either channel. Stephanie Widener, our CEO, is with me on Saturdays on the big channel. Mike Williver helps do badge cams with me. He's also the host of our podcast. We have our own podcast, Active Self-Protection, where every week we interview someone, Mike does, who has been in a real defensive encounter for their perspective on what happened. And as often as we can, we're going to do it this week again. We do an analysis. If it was caught on video, we do an analysis on video the same day that their podcast episode is released. And so that's super fun. On the second channel, Adam's been on it. Brian Hill teaches on that channel every week. Neil Widener, who's one of the best firearms instructors in America, he teaches on that channel every week. His youngest daughter, Natalie Widener, is the range monkey. She has a video on that channel every single week. And she is, I'm going to just say it. If your name's not Adam Winch, she's better with you than you are with a handgun, is probably what the reality is. And so we also have an instructor certification. You mentioned that a little bit. So it's kind of all things self-defense. It started as just a little business for me to teach a few handgun classes and write off ammo. And now it's my full-time gig.
That's so cool. So cool. So then tell us, how did you get started in the self-defense world to begin with? Because you were a pastor previously, right?
Yeah. So actually I did get into the self-defense world even before that. So my first big boy job was the US military, but I didn't do self-defense stuff there at all. I was a nuclear reactor operator for the United States Navy. I made hot water the hard way in Uncle Sam's Canoe Club. And that sounds impressive until you do it. Really, all I did was sit and watch the rock get hot. When the rock gets hot, it makes hot water. Hot water makes steam. Steam turns turbine, make the boat go. I just sat and watched the rock get hot. I did that for 8 years. I was on the USS John C. Stennis for a while. When I got out, I went to graduate school to become a pastor. While I was in graduate school, a couple things happened at the same time. Number one, I was running a video game store to to pay bills while I was going to seminary. And when the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 came out, managers were getting hurt for them. They were getting mugged. And I was like, nah, fam, not me. And I had a little bit of extra money at the time. So I went down and got an Arizona CCW. I bought the wrong gun. I loaded it with the wrong ammo. I put it in a wrong holster, and I carried it around as a lucky rabbit's foot for a while. About the same time, my son, we were homeschoolers at the time. He was a real little guy. He's a grown man today, but he was a little boy, like 4 years old. Papa. He was taking karate as his extracurricular activity for homeschool. Papa, come take karate with me. Come take karate with me. Bro, I'm so busy. I am working full time. I'm going to school full time, and I'm pastoring a church part time. Leave me alone. What about when you get out of seminary? Okay, buddy, come talk to me then. Sure enough, at my graduation, are you coming to class on Tuesday? And so that's how I got started on the journey. And that also, when I started studying martial arts, that got me started of thinking, gosh, man, if I'm going to carry a gun, I should be good with it. I should really know how to use it well. And so I started training, and then that gets expensive. So I started the company. I started training other people because teaching's my core competency. So I was a pastor for 14 years, like you said. I was also a professor at the undergraduate and graduate level, adjunct, for 9 years total. And so teaching's kind of my core thing. It's what I do. And so I started teaching so that I could write all this stuff off. And that's where the company came from.
So cool. So you have 2.68 million subscribers on the big channel, as you call it, right? That's what you
Yes,
said?
give or take a few. Yeah.
Yeah, give or take a few, whatever. So my question then about that on that aspect is how in the world can you stay inspired to create fresh content on a daily basis? You know?
So here's the funny part. Here, I'm gonna tell you the thing that makes people swoon, that makes people go, good Lord. And listen, if you'd have told me this when I started the company and when I really started doing social media in 2014, I'd have puked, because we put out 19 video properties a week plus a podcast. And so that's every single week, 52 weeks a year. We post videos Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Easter Sunday. The schedule goes on, and it is not abridged. So in fact, the funny part is I just took the last 3 days off. I flew out to California to go see my family with my wife. And so I wasn't doing any work, but it's already in the can. We already did the work. And so the rest of the team does their job. And we actually have 11 employees. I mean, it's not just me sitting here doing stuff.
Yeah, it's not like this deal.
You know, the thing is that the main channel, the main active self-protection channel, it makes itself. I'm so backed up for content. It's ridiculous. There's so much out there. And at this point, you call it what you will. And I generally roll my eyes when people call themselves subject matter experts. But there really isn't anybody else in the United States doing what I do, or that has the background and the experience in video analysis that I do in terms of self-defense. So it's a labor of love. Every day I get to see a different scenario, but the principles are relatively simple. The principles find themselves again and again. I had somebody on YouTube, a commenter, snark at me the other day and you teach the same thing, it's the same 6 lessons all the time. And I said, that might be a clue. Actually, right. That could conceivably be important for you to recognize that.
Yeah. And what you do is so incredibly valuable. I mean, I feel bad saying this, but I just got introduced to your channel this year. Don't flog me for saying that, but
I mean, listen, everybody got to get introduced at some point. Hopefully, I mean, the whole world, right? We want 7 billion subscribers. That would be great. Anyway.
Yeah. And when I first found it, I could not quit watching. I just binge watched it for, a while. And then because it's just so valuable and there's nothing else like it out there. So
it's pretty unique. The second channel is, it's really funny. When we started the second channel September 1st, 2017. So it's just over 4 or 5 years old now. It just celebrated its 5th anniversary. And when we first started, I said, I'm going to do 2 lessons a week over there. We started it because I wanted to teach more than the daily narrated analysis, but I didn't feel like that channel was the right place to do that because it already had its mission. So I started a second channel. I said, man, 2 a week. I don't want to run out of material. It's 2 a week. That's enough. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, gosh, I'm so backed up on things I want to talk about. We should really kind of think about 3 a week. And then, that's good. But man, could we start like a weekly legal analysis? Because I mean, people have so many legal questions, and it feels like, there's so much to talk about. We better do that. So now we're up to 9 lessons a week over there, and really, I'm nowhere near close to running out of content.
Adam, just so you know, I will not be going live every day.
You hold on, it's coming.
I would never recommend that anybody else make content to the level that we do.
It's insane.
Honestly, so this sounds weird. If you're into the social medias, my kids loved when they were growing up a social media juggernaut, probably the greatest social media juggernaut on earth. Are 2 guys, Rhett and Link, and their business that started as a YouTube channel called Good Mythical Morning. And now they've got this whole mythical universe that they have, that and they have 4 or 5 YouTube channels. And those guys they're the Ron Jeremy of video making, man. They are the hardest working men on YouTube. And I took a lesson from them that just more content, if you have it available and you can keep the quality high, is more better. And so, now I will tell you this, we're at about our capacity. Stephanie has a big stick, and whenever I say we should, she goes, whack, no, stop that.
Everybody needs a Stephanie, right?
Yeah, she's my get back coach. She's an incredible CEO, and she runs our national conference. We have our national conference coming up here in a couple weeks. In fact, today is the last day to register. It's closed now. So, and she's just going 500 miles an hour to get everything ready for that. And so she's the one that I'm like, you know what we should do? And she's, sucker, I swear.
It's good to have that balance, though. You got to have people on your team that have balance, because if you don't, man, you'll end up being a yes man, or you'll end up not growing enough, I think, and not saying yes to enough things.
I'm a high level big idea guy, and so I am ready, fire, aim. That sounds like a good idea. Do it. Let's do it. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And Stephanie is every ounce okay, Tiger, that's great. Let's talk about the logistics before we just tell the world we're going to do this thing,
right.
Shall we? No. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
How about we actually figure out if we can do it first?
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with this live. It was just me going, you know what? I've been thinking about doing that for a while. I should just do that.
Let's just do it. Well, there's value there. So I teach YouTube success. I teach social media success kind of, a little bit on the side too. And I tell people all the time, man, you can't steer a parked car. And so sometimes you just got to go. Like if you go back and if you want to see the narrative videos like evolve, go to the Facebook page for Active Self-Protection, hit the video tab and dig all the way to the bottom. About October 2015, you'll find the first ones that I'm actually on audio. And then a little while later, we started doing some video intros, and they're very film noir. I mean,
you left those up. You left those up, John.
Yeah, I have. So
that's
first
awesome.
of all, I think the information in them is good.
Yeah.
I think that the lessons are solid. Number 2, you got to know where you came from, and
yep.
You go, hey, this is how we started, and here's how it's going, and we do our best to be as professional as we can while we still. So like, we could at this point go like Netflix a camera and really kind of go like the big to do production value, but that's not my goal either. My goal is to talk to my friends every day about making their life better. So
yeah.
And I feel like it's just having those there is another way for people to laugh at me, which people enjoy doing. So, it's good.
And you got to be able to laugh at yourself too, because,
everybody else does. You may as well too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. All right. So real quick, I have one more question. And then Adam, I'm going to prompt you in on that question that we talked about earlier. I think you'd be best to ask. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to know, because I've never heard you talk about this, but maybe I just didn't hear that interview, but your most memorable or powerful lesson that you've taught on active self-protection. Was there something that really stuck out to you, a specific?
Well, listen, okay, so I would be a liar. So the first thing that came to mind is usually the right one, right? And I get to talk pretty regular about spiritual fitness on active self-protection, about making sure that you've said everything you need to say to your loved ones, because you don't know if you'll get another opportunity to do so. And make sure that you and Jesus have a strong relationship, because you're going to need it on that day and you may not have time to get it. And I think that that's the most profound, to make sure that your spiritual fitness is strong, because you walk out that front door, or even you may not even need to walk out the front door. And I've lost friends to suicide, to cancer, to, you know, you get to be, I'm 46 years old. You get to 46 years old and you're going to lose some friends and some good people. I've had 2 friends legit murdered. And you don't know when the last day is. So you got to make sure those are right. In terms of, you know, there's a couple that stick with me because of frankly how horrific they are. It's not very often that I watch a video of somebody and go, oh boy, but it does happen occasionally, you know, and those are ones probably that don't make it on the channel, quite frankly. If it's that bad, I go, I'm going to pass on that. I'm not going to spread that trauma around. It's that bad. And I've seen some of those. I've seen one in particular, was a badge cam of an officer going into a scene that I almost threw up watching it. And it was that, I mean, literally my eyes were running and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. And he had to walk into that. That didn't make it on the channel. In terms of actual lessons, there's so many that just have, I think, such profound, and some are not profound. Some are just fun and funny and engaging. You know, I think we were part of kind of publicizing the woman from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro, who a guy came and tried to stick up a bunch of moms who were waiting to get into their kids' school for a Mother's Day thing. And she's an off-duty cop, drew a gun and shot him. And we were part of really kind of publicizing that. And she got elected to the Brazilian legislature out of that incident.
Wow.
I think because of her heroism, not because of anything that I said.
Yeah.
But I will say probably one of the most gratifying things is we get messages every week from people who say, hey, John, you saved my life this week, which of course I always say, I didn't save your life. You saved your life. I wasn't there. Like, well, but I heard your voice in my head chipping away going, hey man, you need to do this thing, or, you know, do this right, or get this thing. And I did it and it worked. And I was like, man, that's a big to do. So
yeah,
it's important work, I think.
Absolutely it is. And Adam, I'm going to bring you in here real quick and add you into the conversation. Did you have something you wanted to bring?
Yeah. So first of all, good evening, John, and everybody else. Good to see you. So you kind of already touched on it in that, if you don't mind kind of talking to us a little bit about not just spiritual fitness, but I think that's an important component, right? Spiritual fitness to me is really the heart and soul of my company, Defenders, right? The skills is all important, getting that as good as possible, really the spiritual side of it, but also the mental fitness, meaning you've pulled that gun, you've had to do the Lord's work with it. It's a traumatic experience. Do you mind talking to us about how you think is best to prepare, one, spiritually for that type of thing, which you kind of touched on, and then 2, also for the mental, emotional aftermath of these things? I mean, I've stood at the graves of my friends, right, of people I truly love because they went through something extremely horrific and it weighed on their soul so much they finally lost. Or they drown their sorrows in a bottle or a needle, or beating the wife or the husband, or too much credit, those type of things. And right, we deserve to live our best life. So if you don't mind talking about both the spiritual aspect, just a little bit more on that, and then also the mental, emotional preservation for the aftermath of it, because I think that's truly the important part of this, just as much as it is training to survive the fight.
Yeah, so I've been taught 5 fitnesses. 5 fitnesses taught to me by my martial arts mentor, Master Lawrence Robinson at Attitude First. He hates that I call him that, but he has an 8th degree, and so he's an associate master of the art. I'm a student of Lawrence Robinson, the student of Skip Hancock, the student of Ed Parker, and then I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So 5 fitnesses, as I was taught by my good friend Lawrence, are first of all physical fitness, perceptual fitness, mental fitness, emotional fitness, and spiritual fitness. And we say those in reverse order of importance. So spiritual fitness being the very most important, emotional fitness being secondary in importance to that and connected to it, perceptual fitness, mental fitness from there, perceptual fitness, physical fitness. And in our industry, don't get me wrong, I mean, physical fitness is a thing, right? If somebody can just run over you like a train, strong people live longer, are more useful, all that stuff, right? And I know everybody gives me crap about being fat, because I am, but also I work out literally every day. So and I'm, if you want to train with me, you want to kick my butt, find me on the mats. I'm easy to find. You kick my butt. And then I will say this, everybody who has ever kicked my butt on the mats, I absolutely take it from them that they say, John, you're a worthless piece of crap and you need to work harder on your skills. Sure, you betcha I do, because you just whooped my butt. Everybody else, you got to come whoop my butt before you earn the right to say that to me. And I've had my butt whipped by some incredible people, and that's cool. Anyways, so I think they're all interconnected. And you know this, if your physical self is really struggling, then it's very hard to have emotional fitness. I can tell you that I got rear-ended by a drunk in 2000. I blew out 2 discs in my lower back. I was at an 8 to 9 pain scale every day. I couldn't feel my feet for a while. All these things. I ended up having 2 surgeries. And when your whole day is taken up with pain management, you don't have any emotional fitness left. You can't think. Your mental fitness is toast. Building your relationship with God, you're so mad at God, you don't even know what to do about things. So physical fitness can be very important for that. And that's, I think, one of the reasons we say, hey, one of the resilience factors is if you just get your body moving every day as best you can, right? And that could be 5 minutes of do some push-ups and do some calisthenics and move your body a little bit, then that starts the endorphins moving in your body and gives you some things. I do think that the foundation of spiritual fitness is super important, that you and not only are you keyed towards earnestly desiring God's best for people, but also doing what you can to see it come about, that you live in a manner that spiritual fitness is important to you. I believe that's the biblical definition of love. People talk about love in America. That's an emotion. That's how I feel about somebody. It's earnest desire to see God's best in someone's life and being willing and able to do what you can to see it come about. So if you live that out, that's the heart of spiritual fitness. Now, emotional fitness, when you tie it to that, is the ability to, when we talk this in Christian theology, we talk about contentment and joy. And really, that's the heart of emotional fitness, is the ability to see the current situation such that you have contentment, that you're okay right now, that you have hope for the future and what's to come, and that you are capable and competent of living with it, of coping with it, and overcoming it. So that's what emotional fitness is. And we do that on a horizon of hope. And we say, listen, when I'm looking at, I can look so close that I see, gosh, man, this is such a big problem. But if I put my eyes on the horizon, I put my eyes and I throw my heart over the bar of eternity, I can start to say, this will be okay. We'll make it through this as hard as it is. I don't want to tell stories of hardship. Everybody's got hardships. We've been through some hard things in life. I think that for most of us, if we threw all of our problems in a big pile in the center of the room, and we looked around everybody else's problems, we'd probably grab our own back pretty quick. We've been through some stuff, my wife and I, some hard things with our kids, with our families, in life in general, in business. And always having what emotional fitness is recognizing, am I okay right here? I tell my Christian friends that when you find that which you can't live without, if it's not Jesus, you have found an idol. You have found something that you worship. So if I don't have Jesus, I can't make it. But as long as I have Jesus and my wife, I'm okay. Your wife is now an idol. Would you not make it without her? Now, I love my wife. My wife and I have been married 27 years. We got married as literal almost babies. I was 19. She was 18 when we got married. I'm still married to the same woman 27 and a half years later. She still hasn't kicked me out of the house, and I don't know why. And I don't know what I would do without her, but I know for sure that I would be okay because of who Jesus is. I love my children to death. Oh God, this will start me crying. We've had mental health struggles like not very many people that I know among my family. And I don't know how many parents have had to look and say, I might bury a child today. I might lose this one today. But will I be okay? And so when you can build that reservoir in your soul, and you don't build that on the day when something major like that comes around, you build that on a day when it's the little things that you go, I'm okay. No, I'm okay. When I got out of the military, my first big boy job, and we knew that because of my back and a couple of things like that I was probably not going to be in the military. You look at that, I forget what they call that card. I was one of the first ones to have the cool new ID card with the chip in it and all that trash.
The cat card.
Okay, sure, whatever. They're right. Anyways, and going, I'm going to probably turn this in the next couple of weeks. Who am I? Am I going to be okay? Yeah, we'll make it. I'm gonna be okay. And I got out and grew a beard because rapid demilitarization program, and did what every guy gets out of the military and does: get fat and grow a beard. It was great. So learning that skill, incredibly important. And then the mental fitness from there is to me, if I have a core of spiritual fitness, with a wrapping of emotional fitness. Then mental fitness then says, how can I think best, and how can I process best, and on what basis can I think about and organize my own thoughts around this situation? Where will I be? So a radical acceptance of reality. I wouldn't call myself a stoic, but probably the part of stoicism that I like best is the radical acceptance of reality, of being unwilling to lie about things, and instead radically embracing the present. The way that this was taught to me by one of my mentors, Dr. Fred Shea, we had some really tough stuff go down. And I said, Fred, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I don't know how this is going to go. This might be the end. And he said to me, he said, John, all you can do is play the ball where it lies. He said, you may want it on the fairway. You may think this is unfair that you're out in the trees, but it's not going to help you to play the ball wondering where it could have been. You got to just play the ball where it lies. And if you just address the ball where it lies, take the best shot you can, and then do that all the way around the round, you'll shoot the best round you can possibly shoot. And he goes, and here's the cool thing. All Jesus is asking of you, it's not asking you for a birdie round. It's asking you to shoot the best round you have today. And just play the ball where it lies. Okay, so that to me is mental fitness, the ability to put all those together. So when I say spiritual fitness, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know my perspective on the world. Emotional fitness, I am competent and capable to handle this problem. And I will present it to myself in such a way that I can handle it, that me and Jesus have got this. Mental fitness, how should I think about this problem in such a way that gives me the best chance of solving it today? Then perceptual fitness comes back and says, well, how do I, what senses do I have to know what the problem is? And that, of course, goes beyond visual, but also auditory, smell, taste is a little weird, in the self-defense world, but tactile as well. Touch is a thing. And even smell and taste. I can tell you, man, straight up, you build emotional fitness through perceptual fitness. The first time in jiu-jitsu that you're rolling with somebody and you realize this guy's balls smell bad. Now you go, wait a minute, what am I talking about? Well, you're rolling with some dude and he's got his junk pressed up against your face because he's doing bad things to you. And you go, man, that guy's junk is sweaty and nasty on my face. And then you go, wait a minute, am I okay here? Now I gotta be real. The first time you probably go, no, God, get off me, bro. Tap, tap, tap. That's terrible. Get off me. But after a while, you realize, nah, whatever. I don't care. He's fine. We'll be all right.
This is not motivating me to get into jiu-jitsu, just so you know.
My wife just started a little while ago, Laura. It is so good. She's having such a great time. So anyhow, I think when you, and then physical fitness, the ability to put all those together. So that's how I take fitnesses, with spiritual fitness as a core wrapped around emotional, with emotional fitness wrapped around it, mental, perceptual, and physical adding to the mix.
The interesting thing to me is that it kind of wraps into everything else we do. When we have those 5 different competencies squared away, I mean, it translates to our relationships, our finance, or how we love and how we receive love, how we look at what we do, and even all the way down to the tiny minutia of just even shooting a gun. So just such an important lesson there.
Absolutely. Thank you for speaking to that, John. Adam, is it okay if I take you off the main screen again? Okay.
You be the host. It's like on our podcast, Laura, that Mike is the host. I'm not the host of it. I'll come on occasionally and just hang out with him, but it's his show, man. And you got to run the show.
I know. I'm still wrapping my brain around that. Like I feel like I'm just attached to the tail of a wild dog or something. I'm just hanging on for dear life. I'm trying to navigate my way through it. But
you know what they say when you have a tiger by the tail, right?
What?
Don't let go, because the other end is got the dangerous parts.
That's true. I guess I have a hold of the right end, so that's good. Okay, so moving on here. So on your channel, going back to your channel here, what are some frequent lessons or gaps maybe that you see over and over in your observation of videos that people really need to understand as concealed carriers?
So I jokingly refer to myself as a professional rustler of the jimmies. I hurt trainers' feelings all the time, and I don't try to. Well, maybe I do. I listen. After a while, you start to see things show up again and again and again. It's so often that after a while they just become axiomatic, right? And Okay, so probably one of the big ones that gets missed all the time is that mission drives everything. Mission drives way more than gear train. Mission gets everything there. And so a lot of times what we see is we see people come in, and Adam could speak to this big time. You know, as a guy who was a cop for a long time, that people take out of the police officer training world, and hey, this is a gunfight cops are going to have. And so we train people for this. And those cops come out and start training private citizens, and they go, well, this is a gunfight that we're going to train for, without thinking about the fact that the mission of a police officer is different than the mission of a private citizen.
Mhm.
And therefore, not only is the gear different, but the tactics, the techniques, and the procedures are different. So TTPs are different, SOPs are different, ROEs are different. And so, for instance, I tell folks all the time, if somebody draws a gun on a cop, you know, we talk all the time about drawing from the drop, right? So for a private citizen, if somebody draws a gun and points it at you, probably your best bet is to wait your turn.
Mhm.
Because if you go for your gun, they're going to shoot you,
Mhm.
right? And they'll probably beat you. So you got to wait your turn until you can get a turn. However, a cop, if somebody pulls, you never pull a gun on a cop to threaten a cop with a gun. If you pull a gun on a cop, you know they're armed too. And so they're going to shoot you. And so, yes, the cop is going to draw from the drop every single time because, oh no, that guy's got a gun. He is about to kill me with it. And we're not negotiating that. I got to go. I've only ever seen one time on badge cam that somebody drew a gun on a cop and didn't shoot him with it. And that guy was absolutely clinically insane. And so that whole scenario was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So that's a difference. And if you don't understand that contextual difference, then you start learning stuff that you never really will use. I get in trouble for this. Here's an easy one. People call me dirty names for this, but I see cops reloading gunfights all the time because their mission is to close with a lawbreaker and take them into custody and take them to jail. So guess what? If they get partially away from somebody, empty their gun, well, then what do? Reload it and go back to them. Whereas a private citizen, your mission is to break contact with a deadly threat. And so if any reason I'm done, like I empty my gun and I get a lull in the fight and they go, oh, move to cover and reload. Keep moving, man. Go. Your gunfight is over. I've never seen a private citizen get any rounds from a reload into the gunfight. And I can't recall a single incident on the channel that somebody ran their gun empty as a private citizen. So they got their gun out in the fight, ran it empty, and lost the fight for want of rounds. Can't think of a single one. So those differences in mission really drive the entirety of our training. For the private citizen and a gunfight now, okay, so before the gunfight, the most important thing that we don't talk about nearly enough is a lifestyle of de-escalation, escape, and evasion. The lifestyle of being a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person who doesn't pick fights, who doesn't want to get in fights, who's not willing to get into gunfights for stuff or for their ego. You know, road rage is one of the biggest killers of morons in America. So all that there. Now, when the gunfight starts, the number one thing you got to do is get that gun out and get a hit fast. More fast is more better. We're pretty famous at ASP. We've kind of been the one who publicized and popularized the idea of objective of an objective standard for a concealed carrier: draw to first shot and draw to first hit. The FBI publicized, their standard was a 1.5 from concealment. The FBI is they don't do the law enforcement part of going on patrol, so they get in gunfights that are very similar to CCW, wearing non-uniform most of the time. So their thing was to get the gun from concealment and get a hit on a man-sized target in 1.5. We established 2.0 as the concealed carry standard because of what we saw on video and the ability to see visually what does it take, what if somebody shows you what to get to those standards. So and you can find those on the channel, and the expert standards 1.0, by the way, and it's not that hard anymore. It used to be you could be Instagram famous if you had a 1 second draw to first shot. It's not the case anymore. Any moron could do it. I could do it. So if I could do it, any moron could do it. So it's stuff like that. And they show up again and again. If you put the first shot in an anatomically significant spot and the other guy rapidly, there's a pretty darn good chance you're going to win that gunfight. You're almost certainly guaranteed to win.
And that's the race. That's the race you're in.
And people say all the time, well, you know, John, there's no timer in a gunfight. Are you kidding me? Of course there's a timer in the gunfight. You just don't know what the par time is.
Right.
I mean, as soon as it's gentlemen, the clock is ticking. And as of now, we're keeping score and we're playing for keeps. And that's an old school Top Gun reference for anybody who hasn't gone back and seen the original. It's on streaming right now. But and you got to get that gun out quickly and get a hit, because the other guy's trying to kill you. It's probably hurrying. So you should hurry back. And nobody ever got done with a gunfight and went, man, that was too easy. You know, my friend Kirk Clark. Kirk is probably the most accomplished concealed carry gun pistol practitioner of anybody I've ever met in my life. Only guy who has shot a clean Rogers test from concealment, and he's done it, I think, 5 times. And if you don't know the Elite Rogers Shooting School, go look that up. Kirk shooting it clean 5 times it's so above what anybody else in the universe has ever done. It's bazonkers. So he's done that, turbo pin from Gabe White, everything you can imagine. And Kirk is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu too. And one of his things, he just said, look, speed is to a gunfight as strength is to a cage fight. It won't win by itself, but only a fool wants less of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty profound if you think about it, right? Speed won't win this thing by itself. I got to be able to do the other stuff too, but I'd be a moron to want less of it here.
Right. Absolutely. Now, speaking about what you're seeing, what you see in your, I guess I'd say your research. I mean, in essence, you've been a researcher and now an expert in the field. You know, I talked earlier about how we're going to have Adam Boyce on from Spartan Mode, and he's going to be talking about edge weapons next month. And I'm curious to know if what ratio, kind of based on your experience, of gun versus knife violence do you see?
Seeing an actual knife attack on the channel, one of the first things you notice is that knife attacks are personal and vicious in a way that firearms attacks are not, because you're at distance for the firearm. For a knife, you got to get right up to somebody and yourself cause the injury. So knife attacks are brutal, fast, and mean, very personal. Knife defense is a very it's again, the principles are pretty simple, but getting to them is a thing. I've never seen somebody who I could verify was carrying a gun that used a knife in any capacity defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Not on video, at least. I'm not saying it's never happened. And I know a couple cops who were in real grappling matches. I kind of think, and then had to use their fixed blade to get a guy off of them, you know, who was trying to take their gun and kill him. I think that might be a mission thing. Again, you know, a cop's mission is to close with somebody. So in the private citizen world, if I have a fixed blade knife on me or I have a gun on me and somebody's a deadly threat, I'm probably going for the gun. So you know, the classic knife fights, we see the John Wick style, you know, okay, we've got 2 knives and I don't get me wrong, I've done a good bit of training with knives and my teacher Lawrence loves a screama and those things. And, you know, but the, you know, we're going to go into a slashing war. One of the things that we see, we just had one on the channel not long ago, a guy who didn't have a firearm on him, but had a good sized knife, like maybe an 8-10 inch kitchen knife. And some guys were trying to attack him. He's trying to get in his car, held that knife short held, so out the pinky side of his hand, and he was keeping him at bay. And then when he turned it around long held out the thumb side and started going towards him with it and had more reach with it, that's when they went, we're out of here. So that tells you reach is super important with a knife.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to learn a lot more about that, guys, next month with Adam Boyce. I'm really excited to have him on.
Listen, I love Adam. Adam is so good and such an incredible martial artist and has so much to teach on that. So I'll be excited to be part of the audience. Yeah,
that'll be a great episode. All right.
And so he's also an active self-protection certified instructor. So maybe I'm, you know, having spent a lot of time with him tells me, I can tell you he's a really, really good dude.
Yeah, he definitely is. I did see that post here, I think just a couple of days ago, that he just received a certificate for that. So, Yep. So I just want to say, because technically there's 8 minutes left of this live, but I'm in charge of the live. and I get to say what goes. I've already talked to John in advance, and he has said we can continue on past an hour. You guys, if you need to leave at 8 o'clock, or whatever time it is in your time zone, that's totally fine. But I still have quite a few questions if you would humor me, John.
And let's go.
I mean, we've barely scratched the surface. And I might skip a few of them just for time's sake, but I wanted to get into some information for my newer shooters out there, because I primarily teach new shooters, people that have never even touched a gun before, or maybe their husband or spouse has tried to teach them and then they come to me like frustrated, like I can't learn from my spouse.
Right.
That's a thing, right? And
oh boy, is it.
yeah. And so I want to speak to that crowd too, because I want to a lot of us here, we have a diverse group. We have new shooters, we have people, I know there's maybe one person on here that's going to be in the class with me here in a couple of weeks that's not had any experience with guns, and then I know there's instructors on here as well, so I want to give a little bit of information to everyone so you all get something out of it. But I want to switch gears here more to the new shooters, and then after that I'm going to go into some training concepts that I've heard you talk about before, I have questions about. Sure. And I want to finish up with your business, the instructor certification, and the national conference, because I know that's coming up towards the end of this month, and I really want to make sure we talk about that. But so if you'll just humor me here a little bit longer, if John's okay with it, I would like to continue on. So the next thing I have for you is, now, how many videos did you say that you think that you've watched over your career that you've analyzed?
We've analyzed somewhere north of 40,000.
40,000. Okay. I put 30,000 in my notes. I was kind of close, but I had a comment on one of my lives a few weeks ago, and we were talking about concealed carry, and we were talking about open versus concealed. And one of the comments on the live, the person said that evidence shows that open carrying deters criminals. And I want to know from your experience, is this true?
I would love to see that person cite their sources. I think it could at some point, maybe, potentially. Cops don't open carry guns as a deterrent. Cops open carry guns because we know they're armed. And if I know you're armed, well, then you may as well carry the biggest gun you can. And so that's going to mean you open, it's too hard to conceal. So I've also seen the bad guy that you have to worry about is the one who looks at your gun and was like, oh, great, that's where I'll get my gun.
Right.
And so does it deter crime? Listen, I think open carry should be legal in all 50 states and the district without a permit and all that stuff. I don't have any problem with it. I personally don't openly carry. I don't think that it does deter crime. I don't see any evidence of that, quite frankly. And more people that I see open carrying are open carrying a garbage gun in a garbage holster without any awareness of their surroundings. So if you're going to open carry, it needs to be in an active retention holster that is not a raging pile of crap like a Serpa. And I don't even allow those on my ranges at all, or at our conference and anywhere around us, because I've seen too many people hurt with them. It needs to have active retention. It needs to be completely and irretrievably connected to your belt. And that needs to be put in such a way that you also have grappling skills to retain that gun, because no holster is going to keep it for long. And the people that I know who do that the most almost always carry concealed if they possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was just curious to hear what your feedback was on that. I had a feeling, right? I knew the answer, but I wanted to ask because, there's a lot of stuff I don't know. So, and if somebody's out there thinking that, then let's ask the expert, right? Okay. What percentage of concealed carriers do you think go beyond the minimum requirements, if any, of their state? When you get a permit and they have to take the safety class or whatever. Some of them don't require anything.
Carl Wren did a great study on this in Texas. And he looked at how many students were training every year in the great state of Texas, and versus how many handgun owners there were. And what he found was that only 1% of handgun owners in Texas in any given year took any class other than their license to carry class or a 4-H, child shooting class. Mm-hmm. So other than those two, only 1% of handgun owners took any kind of formal firearms training in a given year. Only about 20% of them actually shot 5 times a year or more.
Wow.
And so that's probably a good number to extrapolate out. If you look at the people who go to class, probably fewer than 1%. But you know, the funny part, Laura, is I've seen enough people that use a gun basically as a noisemaker. They fire emotionally and basically they desk pop, right? Mm-hmm. So the official movie of active self-protection staff is the other guys. And, you know, he talks about having a desk pop at his desk. And I see people get in a gunfight and they're just, pew, 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 pew. Ah, get away from me. I'm so scared. Ah, and it works. And that's the fault. Is I go, look, I'm a firearms trainer. I don't want that to work. I want you to have to be good at this, but it works. And nobody else gets hurt. And, you know, because big world and small bullets
let's not encourage that though.
No, and I don't encourage it, but I see it happen often enough that I go, I don't believe that a training requirement is acceptable, because I see untrained people. A firearm is a powerful force multiplier, and it allows even untrained people to effectively protect themselves and their family, oftentimes by pure blind luck. And now, of course, if you want pure blind luck, I mean, you're just as apt to carry pocket sand, and the pocket sand might do it too. So if you're going to carry the means of taking a life, you should be, in my opinion, proficient in its use. And that doesn't mean, okay, I mean, you look at, I know some really, really high-end shooters, okay? I know people who work so hard. Adam Winch certainly being one of them. Brian Hill, who teaches on our channel, you know, incredible instructor. Neil Widener, an incredible shooter. And you don't have to be that good. We do that stuff because gun games are fun. I mean, and training is fun, and shooting is fun, and stupid human tricks are fun. That's really what the reality is. Okay. Yeah. But I tell folks, listen, if you can't pass the FBI pistol qualification at the instructor level, it doesn't take much work to do that. We actually have a program on ASP Extra that in 6 weeks of dry fire, no live fire, never having shot a gun or drawn from a holster before, you can pass the FBI quality at the agent level. Mm-hmm. And so at least that level is so rudimentary. It's so easy to get. I don't know why everybody doesn't get it.
Yeah. So where would you say that new shooters need to invest the most time and money when starting on their defender's journey? Is it gear? Is it training? Is it legal knowledge?
Well, you can get so much of the legal knowledge for free on the inner tubes now. Now, of course, the problem is that some of it is bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. But find a reputable instructor. By reputable instructor, I mean somebody who actually has actual credentials in that and actually teaches it well. Of course, our channel, Active Self-Protection Extra, every Friday we have a board certified attorney who's an expert in self-defense law and firearms law come and talk about it. That's cool. Another great channel that I'm not affiliated with called the Armed Attorneys, and they put out great stuff, and they're quite entertaining. I comment over there all the time, and there are others as well, so you can find that stuff online. I think, man, I always tell a new shooter, please don't go and buy a gun and bring it to class and expect it, you know, because chances are good you're going to buy one that you'll regret, and you'll just end up wasting money.
Same with holsters.
Right. And same with holsters. We all have the box of shame, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. All of us.
And so we love basic pistols. So Neil and Stephanie teach basic pistol all the time. And we have a brace of VP9s and a brace of decent holsters, and just come and train with ours first. Now, if you choose not to carry a VP9, totally fine. We just want to get you started on the thing and then teach you what to look for in a quality firearm, what to look for in a quality holster, and get that knowledge. Then you can go buy one and you don't get bamboozled by the guy at the gun counter or some idiot online. So I think a little bit of training in the use of the firearm. Of course, you know, all handgun shooting is grip the gun, sight the gun, and trigger the gun. That's what it is. I mean, we have a mantra at ASP that grip is the master, sight set the pace, and trigger is the servant. And that's from day one all the way through to the end of the thing. Like, there's no, here's the secret. Ready, everybody, for the secret? There's no such thing as advanced skills in handguns. It's all applied fundamentals. Yeah.
Yep. It's true.
And you know, Skip Hancock, who's a friend of mine and a martial arts mentor, the teacher of my teacher, he says mastery is a process of renewal, is the process of going back to, again, to see there in a more fundamental light. Bruce Lee said that when he first started, to him in martial arts, a kick was just a kick. And then as he continued to study and got really good, he realized that a kick was much more than a kick. And then when he became truly a master of the martial arts, he realized a kick is just a kick. So, okay, maybe there's a journey here we can all go on.
Yeah, it's funny how simple it really is, but it does feel pretty complex. And I do think that has to do with this. This is what makes it complex.
Oh, 100%. This
Yeah.
is what James Mattis said to his Marines. He's a brigade commander at the beginning of Desert Storm. And he says, Marines, engage your brain before you engage the safety on your rifle, because the most expensive and important real estate in any battlefield is the 6 inches between your ears. Super important that we get that.
Absolutely. So for somebody that's trying to pick out a gun that fits their needs, could you talk a little bit about the relationship between, I know that picking out a gun, you should start with the goal in mind first.
Yeah.
I would think. But people like talk in circles about capacity and size and this and that and whatever. Is there any a easy way that you can sum up how somebody needs to approach picking out a gun that works for them?
Mission drives the gear train.
Okay.
Mission drives the gear train. And so what's the mission for the gun? Now, a lot of people, when they're brand new, they go, well, I want a gun that'll be great at home defense, but
They want it one for all.
concealable so that I can conceal it, has
Yeah,
the maximum capacity available, is super easy to shoot, and also cheap.
That's like saying they want a Corvette that pulls a horse trailer. Like it's not going to happen. I mean, maybe in the 70s that happened.
That's where we go. I go right to there with cars, and I say, listen, if you want a Lamborghini that'll pull a horse trailer and get 40 miles to a gallon,
right?
That's just an impossible ask. So you got to pick what's my most important thing. Now you might say, I can only afford one gun right now, so it has to do double duty, but I got to conceal it first. And the other part of that then is I always tell folks, look, why are you carrying a gun? Let's think about that for a minute. Let's say you're going to conceal carry. Why do you carry a gun? So I ask you that, Laura, why do you carry a gun?
So that I'm ready to defend myself or my family if I ever need to.
Okay, so I carry a gun for a much simpler reason than that. Because I might have to shoot somebody today. And if I have to shoot somebody today, I need a gun. Now, of course, why might I need to shoot somebody? I would never be an aggressor. I would only shoot somebody to defend me or my loved ones from the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm.
Right.
But at its core, I carry a gun because I might need to shoot somebody today. So when it comes down to it, if I'm not talking about carrying the gun, I'm talking about needing the gun. What's the number one thing that I want? I want the best gun that's the best for me to shoot. That
you want
does
the biggest
job.
Gun that you can conceal.
Well, the gun that I can shoot fast and accurate the very best with. Now, biggest, I don't think is number one because, so for instance, I carry a big gun because I have this. I have these big bear paws at the end of my wrists. So I have a size XL palms length and size large fingers. So I carry a big gun because I shoot a big gun the best. And if I can't get my pinky on the gun, and anybody, if you can't get your pinky on the gun, you will struggle to shoot it well. Yeah. But my wife, Laura, has these tiny little birdie hands. Stephanie Widener has these little hobbit hands that she's got these really short fingers and a really short palm. So to say, Stephanie, well, carry the biggest gun that you can, she can't shoot that well.
Yeah.
So she needs a gun that's smaller because it fits her hand. So the first thing I say is it has to fit you.
Right.
And what gun fits you? That's a very personal thing. Now, a lot of guns today have replaceable back straps, side straps. You can get work done on them and all these things to be, you don't have to pink it and shrink it. And a gun that's too small is just as hard to shoot as a gun that's too big.
Yeah. And
so getting one that's fit to your size as a person, as to your body, to your hands, is, I think, incredibly important. Imagine if you try to take up tennis and they said, well, use the biggest tennis racket that you can comfortably swing. We'd never say that, right? We'd say, hey, we need a racket that fits your hand and that fits your body and that gives you the best chance of getting to the ball and getting a good hit on the ball.
Right.
And that's what we want to do with a gun. So we want it to fit you first. and be shootable first. So yeah, we want a gun that it has to be reliable. If it's not reliable, if it's not dead nuts reliable, like boringly reliable, if I have to go, well, it doesn't malfunction that much. No, get rid of that. That's a piece of crap. If it malfunctions, if there's more than one round in every 1,000 that it doesn't function perfectly, that is not fit for your defense. And I know a lot of people don't shoot that much. I'm telling you, you've got to put some rounds through the gun so that you know that for sure. I won't carry a gun hasn't had a minimum of 500 rounds down the pipe, 400 full metal jackets, and 100 of the defensive round that I'm going to carry in it. And it has to perform those 500 rounds literally flawlessly. If there's any problem with the gun, it takes a step back and starts over at square one. Even the best made guns could get manufactured. You could have a tolerance stacking issue in that one particular one, and it's not right. And I've seen it happen with the most reliable guns in the market. I know, I carry HKs, and I've seen an HK that just wasn't right. I've seen Glocks that I was like, really? That Glock's not right? What? Are you kidding me? Let's look at that. Sure enough, wasn't running right. Okay, well, send it back. Go take it to the gunsmith. Not me. I'm not a gunsmith. I'm not going to mess that stuff. So, I say fit first, reliability second. If you can get your hands around it, grip the gun, and then a good sighting system. I'm a huge fan of the dot for brand new shooters. A pistol mounted optic is the easy button.
Yeah, I gotta say, could I say something to that real quick? Because I've been a iron sights Amish shooter. Adam calls me Amish when I shot irons.
Yeah, gun Amish.
Yeah, gun Amish.
Yeah, World War I reenactor.
And I shot iron sights for probably 6 years and got so front sight focused and trained so hard to be front sight focused for so long. And then I switched to the dot just this year, literally put it on my gun probably, I think 3 weeks ago. And man, I'm struggling. I want to look at the thing and I want the thing to be in the middle.
So you know how to fix that, right?
Target focus. I watched Brian Hill's video on active self-protection extra probably 10 times.
Put a piece of tape over the backside of your optic.
Put a piece of tape over the backside of my optic?
Yeah, so I happen to have a dot here because I took it off a different gun. Stick a piece of tape on this side of the dot.
Really?
Because now, guess what? You have to use your non-dominant eye to see the target. And if you don't, you can't see a damn thing. So occlude the optic is what you do. If you occlude the optic, you have to be target focused with an occluded optic. You must.
That's a good trick. I never heard that before. Okay, so
it'll make you do that. But also the dot in a world in which we live, where we have shots well beyond 7 yards, which is the world that we actually live in. A red dot is the easy button. It doesn't shoot the gun for you, but it sure lets you see your sights a lot better.
Yeah, no, I love it. I really do. It's a process.
It is. And you got to learn that presentation to get the gun out there, which is actually why I recommend new shooters start on a dot.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people go, well, you got to learn how to shoot iron so that you know how to do it and this and that. I go, okay, so do you start out on a car that you have to manually advance the spark as you go on so that you know how to, manually time your car? No. Why don't you? Because now you don't know how the computer in the car is advancing the timing and timing your ignition. Well, because it's stupid. Nobody does that anymore. Do you start off on driving? Do you start children off driving a manual transmission vehicle?
Yes.
Only if you're a moron in 2022. Because now I have this other thing. I have an other foot and this thing to worry about while I'm trying to figure out this other stuff. No, you start them off on an automatic so that they're worried about pointing the car in the right direction and seeing the traffic around them. Then once they're really good at all that, maybe I then add the clutch. Maybe, not in the US, but maybe, when they live in other places.
I don't think you grew up in the Midwest, John, because that's not how we do it in the Midwest.
And you do it wrong. Start on the auto, then learn the manual.
See, this is the problem. I'm doing everything backwards. Everything I'm doing is backwards. It's all right. I'll catch up.
Where are you from in the Midwest?
Northwest Missouri.
Northwest Missouri.
Yeah, misery, as some people call it. No. Or Missouri. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
Missouri.
move on. I mean, we're going to be here all night if we got to keep going. I want to get into some training questions. I want to know, what is a tactical whoopee?
Oh, I mean, when we ask, is your gun really a whoopee? So first of all, you got to understand what a whoopee is. And anybody who has been in the Army in the last 20 years knows what a whoopee is. It's their poncho, right? Their poncho liner. that keeps
Oh,
them warm at night. They call it their whoopee. It's their blankie. But if you're an 80s kid, you remember the movie Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton, that his son had a little protective blankie that he called his whoopee. And that kept him safe. And Michael Keaton and his son had this big discussion. Son, you got to give me your whoopee. You got to give the whoopee up. And so they had this big heartfelt moment where he gave up his whoopee. And a whoopee is something that makes me feel safe, but it does not actually keep me safe.
okay.
And I carried a gun as a whoopee for a long time. And I know a lot of people who do. Well, I have a gun, I'm safe.
Mhm.
That's a lucky rabbit's foot. It's a magic talisman that wards away danger.
Mhm.
That's
That's a
magical
dangerous
thinking.
thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's dangerous. Okay.
And I see people do that with a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe that's human nature. Okay. I'm trying to go through what questions are most important because I have so many questions and I want them to be valuable to you guys.
So I'm just gonna say a couple people have said in the comments, like people are like, see, I learned on a manual. No, listen, I'm gonna put a real fine point on it, right? My dad beat me with a belt every day of my childhood, and I turned out okay. So every dad should beat their child with a belt every day. No, that's stupid.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. It does make me feel better to hear these other people say they learned on a manual though.
Listen, here's the funny part. I learned on a manual because I started riding motorcycles when I was 5.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's important.
so when you start riding dirt bikes, you're going to learn a manual transmission. Now, you know what's funny? The first manual transmission I learned, centripetal clutch. Didn't have a clutch on the hand. Why?
Oh.
Easier for a young kid.
All right, let's move on, or we're going to be here all night, John. Okay,
Let's do it.
let's get into more training stuff. So, how have you seen the training industry change over the last decade, and what do you see lacking most in the training industry as a whole?
I think the training industry has gotten significantly better in the last 10 or 15 years. I think that when I first came into it, it's still very personality driven. And I think that that's just life. Life is personality driven. People follow people. They don't follow ideas. And so that's still there. But I do think that the best of us are getting much better at finding an evidence basis for what we teach. There's a whole lot less now. Here's the funny part. It used to be you could, like every instructor had their own magical woo and they had their own mythical stuff. Well, you got to go to this guy to get this stuff because he's got his own secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And in a modern context, there ain't no secret sauce. There's this absolute garbage. And instead, because every instructor, if you're not known online, then you're nobody. You're not gonna, you know, for the most part. I mean, are there some top tier, whatever, you know, secret squirrels? Sure, fine, whatever. That are teaching other secret squirrels, okay. But in the general training space, you need to be known. And I don't mean that you got to have a large social media presence, but you have to put out there, here's what I teach, here's why it's important, here's how we get student learning outcomes out there. And you have to be known by that. And so I think that has become more. I think that it's also gotten much better in that people are learning their lane and embracing it. And that's not a negative thing. I know a lot of times people use the phrase stay in your lane as a pejorative, as a mean thing. But instead, I think that when it's taken in the best way, it says, no, this is my lane and I'm going to embrace that lane. So like, I don't teach people competition shooting. I am an occasional mild competitor. I'm not going to teach you how to be a competition shooter. I don't do that. I'm going to,
other great trainers that do.
Exactly right. And I'm going to send you their way. I'm not a long range shooter. I can't weaponize math like some of these guys can. But I can send you to those who can. So I think that's gotten a lot better. And I do think though that probably the thing that's gotten much, much worse in the last 10 years is that the proliferation of social media as a driving factor has meant that any moron can have a large social following, as evidenced by guys like, Dale Brown, the dust doofus, who, has got 1 million followers on TikTok, and the stuff he's teaching will get you killed.
Yeah, that's dangerous stuff for sure.
When there are Adam Boyces in the world, why in the world are we listening to Dale Brown?
Well, a lot of people just don't know the difference.
Pardon me, I'm going to go bang my head on the desk for about 10 minutes.
I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
You're right. I agree with you. It makes baby Jesus weep.
We run into it in saddle making. My husband's a custom saddle maker, and he charges a pretty good penny for a saddle, but there's a lot of people who turn their nose up at the price he charges for a saddle. But man, the ones that know what they're getting, they will pay every penny and more, because they understand the difference between that custom saddle and one that's just factory produced. So no difference.
And I tell people, listen, my private instruction rate is expensive. And people go, the funny part is most people don't even think about it. They're, okay, cool, I'll book it. Let's go. Every once in a while, somebody will go, gosh, John, but there's another guy over here that does it for, half what you do. Cool. I'd go take that lesson, see how it does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know how it works for you. It might be what you need. You maybe don't need me. Maybe you need somebody who can help you with the real basics, and you'll get just as much out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's okay.
So tell me what range haka is and give me some examples. That's another term that's new.
The range haka. So if you, I appreciate Samoan culture and the, Peloponnesian culture, and haka is, especially you could go watch like some rugby events, and they do haka in those, which is a stylized dance, a war dance that the Maori people do. And they do it to intimidate the other side. The Maori, exactly. And so a range haka is the things we do to intimidate other people. That's, Pat McNamara talks about this a good bit on his channel. And that's stuff like, okay, so I'm done shooting, and now I am going to scan with the gun and then assess with my eyes. And okay, cool. Now I've followed up on the target. That's a range haka. That's just dumb.
But was there originally a good reason for it?
Sure. I mean, again, the idea says, okay, I'm not going to just focus on this target, bang, bang, bang. And now I'm going to look and go, is there anybody else that I have to deal with here? But of course, I do that in such a way that I would go and look for it. And bring my gun with me. But of course, you'd never do that on a range, because people are going to get guns pointed at them like crazy.
Right.
So it becomes very quickly a range haka.
Yeah.
And so that scan and assess thing is very much that. Of course, you can see guys their ritual when they load their gun. Mm-hmm. And they've got their ready.
Do that again.
Yeah. If you've ever seen, okay, so I'll name names. I don't care. Statute of limitations expired. Have you ever seen somebody that's gone trained in front sight? They have a range haka that is, shooters to the ready. And it's, clear the front cover garment, drive down to the gun, 4-part draw, throw ready position, check the gun, pull the magazine, see the magazine, put the magazine in, check the round in the chamber, come back to the low ready position, ready.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, it's a range haka, like, stuff that we think, oh, it's got this cool thing. I'll tell you another one. Got a lot of suggestion. Is position Sewell. So when you take something out of its context and then you generalize it without recontextualizing it, you run into range hakas. So position Sewell was made for Brazilian Special Forces boat-based soldiers who they weren't soldiers, they're Polícia Militar, who were stacking up on doors in favelas doing drug raids. And when they go down, a couple guys went down there to train them, and they were pointing guns all over God and everywhere. And so they told these guys, here's what I want you to do. On your body armor, you're going to take your support hand, staple it to your body. You're going to take that gun, stick your thumbs together and keep it there and point it straight at the ground here on your body armor. So you're not pointing it at your feet. You're not pointing it at your buddy. And you only bring it out of this when you walk in the door and you're not pointing it at somebody. So this was this idea of, okay, I'm here and the gun comes up and I go from there for that unit. Now everybody's like, well, this is our tactical way that we do this thing here. Well, wait a minute. You're not wearing body armor. You're not stacking up on a door. This is not a useful position for you. But it becomes a range haka.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've seen all those things, and I do understand that they did originally come, they came from somewhere, and there's a good reason for them. But I do laugh sometimes whenever I see some of the theatrics that go on the range. And
there's more than that. So, like for instance, you talk about different shooting styles: Weaver, Chapman, ISO. right? So Jack Weaver used that isometric push-pull, and people go, oh, well, and then he won all the pistol slap competitions. He's an incredible shooter with that. And so everybody started emulating him. Well, why was he doing that? Well, he was using that isometric push-pull because he had a shoulder injury from the war.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took that shoulder injury and we institutionalized it into a shooting position for people who don't have that injury. Well, then Rex Chapman took that and he's like, okay, but I have a hard time seeing the sights when I do this. So if I straighten out and I put my bicep as my cheek well, then I can see the sights. Why? Because he's cross-eye dominant.
Yeah.
So now I took what was because of a shoulder injury and I add cross-eye dominance to it, and that becomes now a shooting position.
Right.
Well, how many people have that? Nobody. But if you take the context away from it, it becomes a range haka.
Right. I'm learning so much tonight. Okay. Let's see. I'm skipping through some of these. I'm skipping over them because it's getting late in the night. It might be past somebody's bedtime here, and I don't want you to skip your bedtime.
It happens. I got to tell you, I spent about 6 hours today piloting a little bitty airplane. So I'm like, what?
Let's see. I'm gonna skip into the concealed carry section here. Okay. Yeah, I meant to ask you this earlier. You started to touch on it, but then you didn't quite get there. The 80-20 rule, and how does it apply in our training?
Oh man, it's everything. It's the Pareto principle of everything, right? So the Pareto principle is that 80% of your outcomes are dictated by 20% of your inputs. And you probably know that as, 80% of the work done at your job are done by 20% of the people. Or if you're a churchgoer, right? 80% of the ministry done by 20% of the volunteers. So how does that work? Well, to me, when we teach our class, and my signature class that Neil particularly and I teach all over the country is called evidence-based pistol skills. And we focus on the Pareto principle of handgun shooting. Is that 20% of the things that you will learn about this stuff will give you 80% of your outcomes. So get really good at those 20% inputs before you mess with anything else. Because then you capture the whole 80% outcome. And that means you'd get a B in your gunfight, right? If you got an 80%, like you got a B minus, that's pretty good. I'll take a B minus. Now then that last 80% of inputs give you the last 20% of outcomes. So if you want an A plus, you're going to have to work pretty hard to get all that stuff, but you can get that 20% of inputs pretty good to get that full 80% with not too much effort. And so, that's when we talk about, on handgunning, it's all grip the gun, sight the gun, and trigger the gun. It's not that complicated. Get that 20% input down really good, get the gun out quick, see your sights, and press the trigger without disturbing them, and the bullet goes where you want it to go. See if you can recover it quickly and do that again. You're 80% of the way there to winning a gunfight.
And you talked earlier about how important the draw to first shot is too. Will you talk about the concept? I heard you talk about it before. Something about if you know exactly what your draw to first shot is, you'll be able to tell based on the person that is on the other side of the gun, what they're doing physically, that what your go is, your go signal.
Yeah. So what we're talking about there is counter ambushing, right? So a counter ambush is he's got a gun out and on you. It's an armed robbery, something like that. Oh, holy crap, man. Okay, man. It's on you. Like, okay, cool, man. I'm going to give you what you want. Whether it's a carjacker or an armed robber in a store or something like that. If he's actively shooting at you, then go. Like, go. You got the rest of your life to get your gun in the fight, right? But otherwise, wait your turn. And where is that there? So what we know from Force Science Institute, from Human Performance, the amount of time it takes the human brain to process information and act on it. Now, if somebody's like, okay, I'm going to shoot you the second you move, well, okay, then they're keyed to that already. But if they're threatening your life and I want your stuff and I won't kill you if you give me your stuff, then if you understand what the visuals are, and we can go on the channel and see those, if you have a 2-second draw and first shot, a reliable, consistent, everyday 2-second draw and first hit, then what needs to happen, I'll use a little bit of this, is that if he turns and shows you his shoulder, or he turns and shows you the back of his head, then if you have a 2-second draw to first shot, he can't beat you back. But you can't go, well, there's the back of his head. Maybe I should go.
It has to be
right.
instant.
No, you got to go when the beep happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So the beep's going to be visual.
Go in the butt.
Go in the butt. Now, if you have a 1.5-second draw on first shot, he can have that gun up and on you. He shows you his ear. So he looks to the side and shows you his ear. He can't beat you back. You got it. So that's, again, you're looking and going, show me your ear, bro. Hey man, I'll get you whatever you want. No problem. I'll get you what you want. Beep, bang, there you go. If you have a 1 second draw to first shot, a reliable all day, every day 1.0, all he has to do is take his nose off you. So if he's got the gun on you, he's got his nose on you, and he looks like this, you got it. Especially because of the foveal vision in the eyes, you only got a very narrow cone that you can actually focus on and see. And so almost always what happens is you guys, he has a gun out like this. When his eyes go, the gun goes with it and goes away. So they just come back, bring the gun back and get a shot. So that's not to say you have to have a 1 second draw to first shot. No, not at all. But if you have a 2 second draw to first shot, know what your go signal is.
Right.
If you have a 1.5, now you know what your go signal is.
Right.
And knowing what your go signal is in advance, super helpful.
Yeah, that's really
because now you can look, because if you don't know, you go, is this enough? Am I good? Well, I'll just go for it, see what happens. No, now you know.
Yeah, that's super valuable. So one last question I'm going to ask you, training related, and then I'm going to talk just real quickly about, I want to talk about the national conference, and then we'll wrap up, guys. I know it's a long night, and I appreciate your time so much, John. You've been such a pleasure to have on. I can't even believe this is happening. I'm so excited. I shouldn't say that out loud, but it's just how I am. So the last thing is the silly question. It's kind of a silly question, but I'm going to ask you because I know how you're going to answer, but not everybody's sold on this appendix inside the waistband stuff, man. You might shoot your junk off. So could you explain a little bit why you've made that decision to carry that way and why you think?
Yeah, so first of all, appendix carry is nowhere near new. Go watch the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special from 1961, and Yukon Cornelius is carrying a revolver in front of his junk. The vaqueros of the 1860s carried front of the hip. And so we know, the pirated dudes in the 16th century, this is not a new thing. It's not a fad. It's a long-standing thing. It has pluses and minuses. It takes a little bit more than just buying a holster and sticking it on your body. You've got to think about an appendix holster more like a prosthesis than a piece of equipment. And then it's going to take a little tweaking. Now, I do think the Enigma makes that a whole lot faster. I think it takes a bunch of the guesswork out. And John and Sarah at Filster are good friends, incredible people. I probably talk to John every couple of weeks. We talk on the phone. Great, incredible people. And they'll be at the conference. Now, and so the thing that you get, though, is that your body is not built. Think about this. Is it easier to get stuff out of your front pockets or your back pockets?
Front.
Obviously, super easier to get stuff out of your front. You're built to work in this space.
Right.
You're not, especially as you get older, when your shoulder flexibility starts to go, you are not built to reach back here and grab your back pocket and come get out of your back pocket. Maybe when you're young and flexible, but man, I know plenty of people, then they start getting a little older and now they don't go back like this. They go back and turn this way. And now we're talking about a Bela Lugosi, vampire draw. And it's just hard to do. That Dracula
I'm not gonna be able
draw.
to get that visual out of my head now. Every time I see somebody
when you start seeing
so
older people do it, it's the Dracula draw. It's that Bela Lugosi. They throw this way and then back this way because they have to get their shoulder out there to be able to get to it. I just made that up. You can keep that.
Oh my gosh, it's just so many valuable nuggets here.
And so the thing with appendix carry is it's built for any age of person, and it also in any kind of grappling environment, it's so much easier to keep a firearm on your person that is in front here. Yeah. I will take from time to time. I've done it with my Enigma multiple times. Take it to jiu-jitsu, put a blue gun in it, and tell the guys, look, if you can get my gun out and you control it, it's a submission. But if you go for it and I get it out and in control of it, it's a submission. So, all right, ready, go. Well, and we just go for it. And doing that up front is so much easier than trying to keep a gun that's back here on your hip. So much easier.
Yeah, I did.
Now, do you have to work on not shooting yourself? The holster needs to completely cover the trigger guard and secure it in an appropriate manner. It needs to have a mouth that stays open once the gun is out of it, so that you can safely holster it again without futzing with your hand. And you need to know the holstering technique that does not point the gun at your person while you holster. You just have to. And if you do, it's perfectly safe.
Yeah, I did a competition. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've got another one coming up on Saturday, and I'm literally the only person carrying appendix from concealment, and I'm okay with that. Totally fine with that.
Sure.
But I sat down. There was one stage we had to sit down when we were shooting on the first one of the stages, and the guy was, we were getting ready, load and make ready or whatever. I stood up, reholstered, and then I sat down. He goes, "Man, I know that's better for some people, but geez, I just couldn't do that," and majority of the people there, of course, that's competition, so
Yeah, and I mean, FUD lore abounds, and people, they get these weird ideas in their head that guns do stupid stuff by themselves. If appendix carry was unsafe, if people were going to shoot themselves in the junk all the time via appendix carry, we'd know it.
oh, it'd be all over
Because
the internet.
yeah, it'd be popular. We'd see it. I can think of one time I've seen on video somebody's gun went off weird because they put it in the holster and then they did something weird and like moved weird and the gun went off. Man, I see people strong side shoot themselves so often.
And it's
people
all the
point guns to
reholstering
themselves,
process.
putting it away strong side so often.
It's all the
Whereas
reholstering
I
process.
kind of think I really like all these front parts. And so I'm pretty careful not to point guns at them. And I'm pretty careful to make sure that I don't shoot this gun when it's going in the holster.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on here. I have more questions, John, but I think I'm just going to try to be very respectful of everyone's time and not just keep asking you and to the
Sure, that makes sense.
until
Plenty of
midnight.
important people to talk to.
Well, it's a hard decision to make because I just want to keep asking questions, and they were all so good too. But I tried to prioritize them as I went through.
Well, maybe when you run out of guests, we'll come back and do it again.
Hey, that'd be a great idea. I'd love that. Then I can ask the rest of them. Okay, so let's talk about the national conference, ASP National Conference in Kansas coming up, and your instructor certification. What are they? How did they come about? Tell us everything we need to know to get involved with those things.
Okay, the ASP National Conference, today was the last day to register. So if you aren't registered already, you're not going to be able to come in 2022. Put it on your calendar for 2023. It's the last weekend in September. It's outside of Manhattan, Kansas at the Living Water Ranch and Tall Grass Shooting Sports. An incredible 3 days of training, conference style. It's the most fun I have all year long. We get incredible national level instructors, including our very own Adam Winch, who comes and instructs. And it's a very unique thing. It came about because we went out to Manhattan. We booked a class out there at Tall Grass and got to meet Mike and Lisa Urban. And the class was fun. We had a good time. But more than that, we learned. So Mike was a pastor for a number of years, and they have such an incredible heart for abused and abandoned foster teens. So they run the Flint Hills Foster Teens camps, and they bring abused and abandoned foster teens free of charge. Nobody pays for it. No, not a single church in their area supports them in it. The foster system doesn't pay for it. The foster parents don't have the money for it. And so Mike and Lisa bring these kids out for 3 to 5 day camps that literally change those kids' lives. And they do all kinds of cool stuff for that. It's a incredible camp that has meaningful results for kids who are the least of us. 40% of kids that are in the foster system, on the day they turn 18, they're homeless. Their rates of incarceration, of drug addiction, of abuse are, just astronomical. And Mike and Lisa give these kids hope. And it's incredible what they do. And we saw that and we said, we got to help. And we got to help. This is incredible work. So we resurrected a national conference, which we'd done once before, but it just kind of, it was too much work, and resurrected it in 2019 to fully support the Flint Hills Foster Teen Camp. So basically, I'm the only idiot on earth that runs a national conference that costs him money. So you don't pay me to come to our national conference. You make a donation to the Flint Hills Foster Teen Camp that pays for a kid to go to camp for a week, and then you get to come to the conference. It's conference style, so we have 4 ranges this year, plus the long range, so 5 ranges with the long range shooting, and I think 4 classrooms going at any given time, and they're in 2 and 4 hour blocks with various national level instructors, incredible people, and they all volunteer their time. Every instructor volunteers their time. We get sponsors. The corporate sponsors pay for the travel arrangements of the instructors so that every student, every penny that they give goes to the camp. Last year, we raised just over $100,000 to help these kids. And we're hoping to raise that by 50% this year and raise $150,000. We jokingly call it bullets and Bibles as well, as a pastor for 14 years. So, and it's conference style. You take what you want. If you want to participate, great. If you don't, great. So we start the morning off with devotions for anybody that wants to do that, a little devotion and prayer time with breakfast. We get out on the ranges. We have a great time. Friday night, my friend Tim shares his incredible experience out among people who don't know Jesus in the world, and recruiting missionaries. And then Saturday night we have a big auction, and there's a raffle. And then a lot of times people will take their prizes and put them back out for other people to bid on, all for the camp, and raise more funds for them. We sit around, have meals. There's campfires afterwards for people who want to do that and hang out. And they hang out till 3 o'clock in the morning doing that stuff. Saturday night, we have a worship service. My Mike, our podcast host, and his incredible son, Edward, lead worship. I preach. It's the only time of the year that I preach anymore. And so you get a whole pent up year of John not getting to preach. And my big thing is spiritual formation and soul care, and helping people understand that following the way of Jesus is probably not the way that is being churched, and those things. It's a very different way to be. And so it's just an incredible weekend. It's all Stephanie Weiner is the soul of it. She's the one that runs the whole thing. Stephanie and Neil's youngest son, Cody, is our mascot. He'll be there all weekend long. Cody is a incredible young man. He's 17 years old now. I said 16, but he just had a birthday. So he's 17 years old. He's a very high special needs guy. And he's one of the funnest dudes you ever met. He's also a giant pain in the ass, to be quite frank. He is so beloved, though. And so he's around all weekend, and you're going to get to see all the ASP staff, incredible national level instructors, and get to learn some incredible stuff. It's a weekend that you got to experience to believe. It's super fun. So this year we're 3 weeks away. Closed today, so put it on your calendar for next year. The last full weekend in September. So it's the Sunday has to be in September, and put it on your calendar and come and join us.
That is so incredible. That the work that you're doing, John, the people that you're touching. I mean, what a ministry, what a platform. We appreciate your time here tonight, and
Sure.
Please talk.
And if you want to hear about the instructor certification,
I
decided we wanted to help instructors. So my background's in the education world. So I was a pastor for 14 years. I was a college professor for 9 years. I was a seminary professor for 5 years. I had to teach myself how to teach. You get hired at the college level, not because you know how to teach, but because you're an expert in the subject. Most people who've experienced a college professor who was really knowledgeable about the subject, but could not teach at all, and you felt lost, right? So we see that in the firearms world a lot, because a lot of them come out of the trigger puller world, not out of the instruction world. So they don't understand adult learning theory. They don't understand curriculum design. They don't understand assessment. They don't understand myelination and learning modalities. They don't understand, instructional design, or the internal monologue of a teacher and the teacher-student relationships. And so that's what we decided to do ours with, because there's plenty of places that you can go to learn how to shoot. And if you can shoot well enough, well, then, you can give that to students, but there's just nowhere that says, hey, how do you employ adult learning methodology here? How do you validate your curriculum here? How do you actually design a drill and do that with evidence basis and outcomes in mind? Mm-hmm. And so we started the instructor certification. We just finished, we just finished cohort 4. Cohort 5 is wrapping up before too long here. We have 2 cohorts in 2023. And I'm excited for them. At some point, like Adam is trying to harass me into doing a mentor instructor level, like an advanced level or something, but a mentor instructor. But I'll tell you, so to do the instructor certification, it is for cohort 6 and 7, about a 4.5 month commitment. You're going to meet on Zoom every week. We have a 1 weekend in-person conference that's pretty close to upfront. You're going to read 5 books. None of those books are shooting related. You do some significant work in those books in terms of discussion, writing, You come into the program, you have to show that you can shoot. So you have to shoot the FBI qual on camera with no cuts at the instructor level. And you have to shoot dot torture 45 out of 50 at 3 yards, no cuts on camera to make it in the program. That way we know, okay, you can shoot. Great. You've got the shooting part down. Awesome. If you can't do that, go to gun school. And then you also come in and with a curriculum. So here's my curriculum that I have designed. If you're not designing your own curriculum, well, great. It's probably not the instructor certification for you, but here's what I'm doing. And here's what I've gotten at. You also need to have some character witnesses and some student evals and those kinds of things. Then through the course of the course, you actually take this curriculum that you've designed and you improve it through the entire course and you validate it and you work on it. And by the end, then you go back and reteach it with the principles and you rebuild it with all these principles in mind. And that's your final project. So wow. It's weekly Zoom calls and a lot of learning. And at the end of it, you are somebody that I would say can fully design their own curriculum, help others, and actually teach students rather than supervised drills.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Some instructor certifications feel like that because all you really have to do is, hey, can you shoot? And there's not a whole lot of how to teach stuff. And most of us learn through apprenticeships of teaching instead of anything else. That's really all there is. So this is so valuable for anybody out there that's an instructor already.
And that's what it's for. It's a big investment. I don't, Stephanie, again, is an incredible CEO. So she has insisted. We were losing so much money on the program that we probably should have shut it down. And Stephanie instead said, John, if we can you let me get it to like break even? And I was like, yeah, if I could just not lose my butt every single cohort, that would be amazing. And so now cohort 6 and 7 will be break even at least. So it'll be sustainable.
Great. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to throw out there and let our people know about besides those two things?
Hey, I'm just excited to be here. I mean, hanging out with you guys is incredible. I mean, obviously, Adam, I consider Adam a good friend. He loved me so much. He moved to Arizona to be nearer to me. That happened. I'm telling you, that's exactly why that went down. Don't let him fool you that Melissa got a job out here. No, he wanted to live real close to me. And Russell, he and Russell have been through the instructor certification, and I love everybody on your team, every single person that I've met. And so I'm just proud to stand alongside you and help.
Adam, is there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, so I went through the first cohort of the instructor program.
God, I'm so sorry, Adam. Oh, it's terrible. It's so much better now.
And it was fantastic. And because John says so much better, I'm trying to go through the 6th instructor cohort, if they'll let me in. For those of you instructors out there, right? Scott, Brent, everybody else, if you can get yourself into the instructor cohort with the active self-protection program, I think it's probably the most relevant and most accurate program out there. And it's not just a quick 3-day weekend. It's a real course over 6 months. Please do it. And if you really want to help people, this is one of the best ways you can do it. And John, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, I don't say it lightly. I love you, my friend, and I'm grateful for what you're doing. Laura, I'm really grateful to get to know you. I think that you guys are doing great stuff, and I'm proud to stand alongside you.
I love you, brother.
I appreciate your time so much, John. I can't thank you enough. I don't know whether to write you a letter or send you a card or what I should do, but I'm so thankful and grateful. And like I said, the people that I've been surrounded by this year it's just been mind blowing. My heart just fills just thinking about it. So not going to get emotional, but so anyway, I just want to thank you again, John, for coming on. Guys, thanks for sticking with me. This is the longest live I've ever done. I think I'm going to go straight to bed after this.
Well, get some rest. It was good to see you.
Yes, and don't forget, Robin Sandoval is going to be on next week.
I love Robin. She is one of my favorite people. You're gonna have so much fun with her. We teach every year. It's one of the things that ASP does. We go teach at the Girl and a Gun conference. We love it.
Awesome.
And that entire organization is incredible. Robin, I consider a good personal friend. She stayed at my house when she spoke at our 2A rally here. She's just a great human.
Yes, absolutely. So she's going to be on next week, guys. So make sure you tune in for that. I'll keep you posted. Don't forget to join the Defenders Live with Lora Thorson Facebook group. Go on Defenders USA YouTube channel, and absolutely Active Self-Protection and Active Self-Protection Extra on YouTube. Don't forget to go on those channels, like and subscribe as well. We will see you all next week with Robin Sandoval. Until then, take care.